Fiction. With bonus content. Alright, I am playing it loosey-goosey today because it's almost 7 o'clock p.m. here and I still haven't posted my fake fiction for Monday, but I was later than this last week, so I'm doing pretty good. My schedule's still crazy. In fact, I got an additional appointment added because one of my two-part appointments this morning was canceled and rescheduled because the doctor was not in, and he didn't call me, I guess because I was coming in for the other part. The other part was a bone density test. For those of you who don't know and realize, they are done for one of two reasons. Either there is something wrong or you're old and there's nothing wrong. So anyway, that was fun. Kind of like a mini MRI, mini MRI, where you don't have to worry about whether or not you have anything pierced. All right, so that gave me another schedule. So I think we're a week into the 3 weeks of fun. I have Wednesday is mostly, well, pretty much the daylight hours are full for Wednesday, but that's okay. We'll be seeing for Clumsy Hippo's morning serial. Days of General Restlessness is off this week, and I have been going over everything because of my notes and approaching the limit of what I had already written. And thank God I made all these notes. Well, I knew so crazy and mixed up and really I think I used this in the description. It was convoluted, as soap operas can be. It's not quite like a soap opera because things do progress a little faster. It takes more than a week to get through a day, or less than a week to get through a day. Every episode is pretty much a day. But I have a clearer vision again of where it's going, and it's going to, the first season I'm gonna finally break it into seasons. I gotta look into that to see whether I've got to wait until the end of this one. We're 7 episodes in, and there will be 6 more for season 1. So we're just past the halfway point, and and then the rest of it, we're really gonna build up. I mean, if you think some things that happened were crazy, it just gets even better, and you will never know what's gonna happen at the end that will set you up for the next season. But I've got a few seasons after that, I kind of scratched out so that I can kind of figure out where I'm going. For instance, episode 8 can have some things in it that are just kind of, mentioned, and they'll be mentioned a little bit more at the end and then in season 2, but we won't really see it show up until season 3. Let's see what else. So that'll be. So I've got planned. I still haven't done it all or figured out what I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to be definitely talking about Days of General Restlessness, kind of its inception, a little bit of details about some of the characters that you may not know yet. Mention a few that you haven't seen yet. There's a new one coming in episode 8, and then. Yeah, I think I'll talk a little bit about what happened in episode 7 last week. Yes, that's me. I'm there. I just put myself in, kind of twice, but I'll probably talk about that a little bit too, because it's not literally me. It's me, but. As if I was a different career and all that, but we can go into that, and I can talk about the books that he brought to town. I brought to town. Ooh, that's gonna get interesting. The pronouns are really gonna get complicated. As I was coming in here to record this, I was reminded. Is that all? Let me make sure before I move on. Days of General Restlessness. Oh, and a few spoilers. I'm going to throw in there's a few spoilers, so maybe you'll be interested in what's coming, because the seasons are going to be, kind of different. I know that's, a theme on some shows, but this is, not going to be exactly, the same. Like, for instance, American Horror Story. You got the same, a lot of the same actors playing different parts, and I love that aspect of it. Maybe one day I'll start watching it again if I feel like it's looking good again. But, anyway, oh yeah, crap. So there's going to be different themes, but it's going to be the same people. So it's not going to be like, it's going to continue on and whatever. It's not going to be like each season stands alone, has its own story. It's the same story. It'll just continue on and make some drastic changes. Thank God for those Chinook winds. They really helped me in writing this. So when I came in here to record this, I was reminded, and I'll probably, hopefully, maybe do this tonight. And that is a video of the studio. I mean, I'm back in here in my little tiny studio. I have my sheet down over to help block the door, but it's okay. I'm facing a row of clothing, so that's muffling up the sound in here. The idea of this is the most brilliant idea I got out of that podcast. And it was full of brilliant ideas. These guys were, really good, and they really, thought about it and thought about what was good to tell the new podcaster. But they would understand, ooh, I'm flying free. I'm not even wearing my microphone mitten. See, that's what happens when I don't wear my microphone mitten. So you're welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna try. Yeah, I'm gonna come in here. I gotta do just a little tidying. I mean, I can reach every part of the room from where I'm sitting. It's a closet. It's a walk-in closet. So, and most of it is taken up by our stuff. But so I have a tiny bit of tidying to do from, coming in here and digging out something, and then I'll show you guys how my studio looks and stuff. And I don't know if I'll do anything, but it may just be showing you, because there'll be quite a bit to show you actually. I mean, it's not like a lot of major stuff, but just I don't know, I thought you might be interested in seeing what I got going on so far. I've been trying to work on improving the volume, which I really think I've done. Hopefully I've done. Rena will be my good guide to that, because she has so many difficulties electronically that if it works for her, I know it's going to work for you. Bless her heart. Please learn iMessage. Okay, so then after Wednesday, we've got Friday. Well, after Thursday. And no letters, please, of complaint. It'll be healthy, but it's legal. Had the illegal stuff before I came in here. I guess Friday. Fake Fiction Friday. I'm sorry, no. Clumsy Hippo's Morning Serial on Friday, which is the my fictional stories that are just stories, not the show, like Days of General Restlessness. And we have, let's see, what have we done? We've done Slumber Guard, Part 1 and 2. And then, was there anything between it and Love Knows? I think Love Knows Nothing. Yeah, Love Knows Nothing was next. 2 parts there again. That was a special request from my husband, Scott. Love you. And you guys are going to see interesting, with us. It's not us, but, it's kind of us, but it's really extremely us. But this week, so, since we got I did the trailer last week for it, it's called Burners. Hard to describe. It was like I said, what I call a toe testing tale. Coming out of a deep depression, trying to see if I could get back into the writing, and I'll make a lot of false starts, but Actually, that was the first try, and it really, kind of took off, and I really, enjoyed it. And then, slightly shorter than my other story, so it's going to be one part. 1 week you get to hear the story, beginning to end. It's like most of my stuff. I'd say at least a good 60%. It's a little bit of realistic, a little bit of very unrealistic, very very unrealistic. So you'll just have to see. It's very strange. It's kind of, I don't know. You'll see. It's very different. I don't know how to describe it. It would be like an episode of Outer Limits or Twilight Zone or something like that if it was modern day version, because there are some pole dancers, but I didn't write any nudity into it because there wasn't really any need for it. And you can't really write nudity, and you can just say they were nude. What else are you gonna do until it starts getting 50 Shades of nothing? I talked so much while my cigarette went out. So Burners will be coming Friday, all in one. I have yet to record it. I've got to go through it today. I'm not as ahead as I was, but I'm glad I had gotten ahead, because I'm kind of right on schedule again. Except for my Mondays are still running late on fake fiction. And morning cereal, Burners, one go. Yeah, I think that's it. Then on fake Clumsy Hippo's morning cereal Friday, we will probably, most likely, I'm 90% sure, go back to the Slumberguard saga, which, as you might remember, is a 4-part saga, and we had the first story, which is just Slumberguard, in the I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember something. In the 2 parts, and this one I'll have to see when I'm recording it, because that's when I found out about the other one being in 2 instead of 3 parts. Which was perfect, because they both ended up being around 35 minutes, which is what I'm trying to primarily keep these around, unless it's just a trailer or something. But I will go longer if I've got enough to say. But this will, Slumberguard 2 might be, I think it's, I've got to look it up. Let's see. Because I, of course, added, I don't even know what you call that. Subtitle, something like that. Subtitle, maybe like, American Horror Story Coven. Well, what's the Coven part? Is that, it's after the colon. So, is it the dangling turd? Let's see. What am I looking for? Oh, Slumberguard. There's Slumberguard 2. Oh, crap. See, I had all these damn things that I had to convert. And so I have to find the converted version to look at. There it is. And yes. Oh, yes. Slumberguard 2 gift shop. That's what's coming. And then it might be, let me look at the word count while I'm here. Yeah, it might very well be 3 parts. It might lend itself to being 3 parts, actually. So we might have fun looking forward to that, as well as I think number 2 is gift shop, and then number 3. Let me find the right version of that one. How'd they get all the way down here? There's a copy of Slumberguard even. Come on, look for the. There we go. Slumberguard 3 is, remember this one, Drugs and Robots. And it is touch and go as to whether it'll be 2 or 3 parts. Slumberguard 3, Drugs and Robots. And then Slumber Guard 4. Oh my god. I've got to organize. Because this is just a mess. What's it? Oh, Slumber Guard 4, I believe, is The Landlord. If I can find. Let's see if this will pop up. There we go. Yes, Slumber Guard 4, Previous Landlord. Okay, so Slumber Guard 2 Gift Shop is coming after Burners. And then something in between, and it'll be Slumber Guard 3, Drugs and Robots. And then a little break, and Slumber Guard 4. Let's take a look at the length of that. All information that you probably don't care all that much about. Crap, I can't tell the word count again because I gotta find the my regular version of it. So I'll just skip that for now. But it might be only 2 parts. I just remember it being the shortest of the 4. And I'll talk about that more when I start in the trailer for Slumber Guard 2 next week. So now I am going to switch gears. Excuse me, because that is your update on everything that is coming up this week, and you will definitely want to return for all of that because Burners is fun. It's a one setting kind of thing, of course, and I'm trying to find the next thing because wait a minute, I know where it is. I hate this. Goodness, what a mess. I'm gonna try to find out where this is. Okay, hold on a second. I'm paused. Okay, I got everything sorted. I said we're switching gears, and we are for a bit, and probably to fill up the next 11 and a half minutes, but it is time for me to whinge in a new installment that's mixed with Clumsy, or fake fiction, with a bit of Shush, please. What's next? I'll tell you what's next. All right. Yay. I haven't heard that in a while. Love it. Love Netta. Okay. It's time to whinge a bit because some things are going on. One that's probably not bad. Most likely isn't bad. I told you, I think, after the cancer surgery that instead of radiation, since, of course, it was a case of, just in case there's still some in the, inaccessible area, we're going to, do some radiation. If it had been, we couldn't get it all, or there's, a little bit, looks like, or some high dysplasia or something, cells in there, so we need to, do some radiation. It would have been a different story. Of course, he's the oncologist, so he definitely wanted, was all for it, but he made the mistake of telling a story that took my mind in a different direction, and I'm, kind of convinced of something that I can't go into, but it all has to do with other stuff that, I'm not talking about. So anyway, I decided, since it's, it's one of those, let's just go ahead and do it. And the nurse practitioner with my surgeon, didn't seem shocked that I was going to do this, but I do things like changing of diet and stuff like that now. I have no idea when I'm going to be able to help get out of stressful situations, because I can't even say it without, fucking flubbering my words. because everything is stress and has been for quite a while. But I'm trying. I'm, taking my focus and doing all of this, and it's helping. But I've got some problems that are not, doctor-wise, but they are continuing, and so, that keeps the stress going. And, well, let me tell you this first. And we are, once again, getting close to the time when they're going to talk to us about a new lease. And we've got yet another leasing management. And I'm telling you, along the same lines of all that other stuff I'm not talking about, I've got some weird suspicions. And it's just, some of it's paranoia, some of it's not, because, and not if you have 1,000 coincidences, I bet you not all of them are coincidences. It's just trying to figure out which ones are and which ones aren't, because you have to, so you can move forward, so you can focus on what's real instead of chasing, rainbows. So the new management came in, and when we were rented here, which was about 8 years ago, I think, I made sure I dropped that little nugget of more nugget of information while I was in the office talking to her today, because there's a lot of flaky people here. You get everywhere anyway. People come in and out, or aren't doing right and get evicted or something. And but you get somebody who has paid rent every month for 9 years. You're not going to want to lose them, or at least that's my thinking on it. And if I'm right about other things, then they do, but they might want to keep us here to keep an eye on us. But can't get into that. That's all. Crazy story. So when we first moved in, it was like Comcast. They were still in the process of changing names over to Xfinity. It took years, and it's still, now I'm at the point where 50% of the time I call it Comcast, and 50% of the time I call it Xfinity. So I figure another 5 years, and should be good to go calling it Xfinity all the time. Anyway, we had the TV internet package, and it was included in our utilities, and we paid for it at a special rate, but it was in our utilities, so we had to pay it. We could get a dish and get dish service, but we'd still have to pay the Comcast because it was a deal they had. Well, you know what? It was fine because we already had Comcast, and I'd had them for years. I tried AT&T, and they sucked the big, huge tumor I used to have. And so everything was fine, and no change. And then now suddenly, I think I talked about when AT&T, the morons, came in, dropped their fiber optic cables through the wall. They drilled through our wall from the bedroom of the other apartment, made a hole big enough to look it through and go, ooh. I was like, ooh, yeah. And then I hear noises in the closet, and I open the door, and they're up in the crawl space, with the door open going, it's a closet. I'm like, of course it's a closet. Where else do we have these fucking, walkthroughs up into the ceiling? I'm so, yeah, I have talked about that, I think, because I talked about that little bit of fluff. I didn't notice whether it's still there, because when I was soundproofing what parts of the studio don't have, were bare ceiling or bare wall or door, I actually, hung up draping down, kind of like a, bohemian style, especially with the fabric I used. I'll show you in the video I make. And so it covers completely. So if anybody came in through that way, I would know it. Anyway, they sent us an email about how exciting this was. And it's anything but of course, they thought they got a good deal, and they really got screwed, because that's what AT&T does. Well, they told us, they said, we're excited because, we're not going to offer you AT&T internet. They talked about the fiber optic, blah, 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 and 50 megabytes per second of speed. And I'm like, okay, let me leave that for a second, because first of all, there's nothing exciting about AT&T anymore. They continue to lie, because they will slow it down after a certain point. So, you don't have that. And second of all, yeah, okay, so it is less. It is only $50 instead of $99 a month. But it's just fucking internet. So you're still going to have to fucking pay for cable. So how in the fuck they're saving us money, I don't know what their thinking is, but they're trying to sell this shit. So I was in the office and I was like, look, first of all, I'm never going to use AT&T ever. And I just need to know whether I can still, use my Xfinity. Oh, I'd hate to, and pay for the AT&T if I, since we're, hopefully won't be here long. And she goes, I wouldn't want you to do that though. I'm like, I don't want to do it either, but I don't want AT&T either. I said, why would I go down when with Xfinity I have 150 megabytes per second, 3 times as much? And so I told her, I said, so you're going to be breaching the lease because my lease specifically says Comcast for cable TV and internet. Well, sometimes when they, if they reduce the price, I'm like, it doesn't matter. You cannot change one word of that lease unless we both agree. So you're going to breach it, and we'll be able to move out without having to give a 2 months notice. And she was already grabbing my piece of paper and a pen before I stopped. These are new people. I don't know them yet. They're nice acting, and they seem nice too this time. And she got my information. She's like, "I'll talk, and let me talk to my regional manager to see." I'm like, "Okay, but you're breaching the lease. My lease. You cannot force me to pay for AT&T now in the middle of my lease. Towards the end, but still in the middle of it. They can't do that. It's I mean, they take off the $50. I'm okay with it. I'll get my deal with Comcast because I'm been a customer for a long time. I'm sure I'll get a good deal. That's what. Yeah, I fussed when we moved in here because we already had a better deal, and I had to pay a little bit more to get the best deal here. Eventually, of course, it got to the point where it was balanced out, and so, but you're foist a fee for company I'm not even going to use. The router isn't even plugged up. As soon as I saw it plugged in, me having no access to it, a router in my apartment, I unplugged everything. So I told her that too. I was like, yeah, that's not right. That's not right. And so that is just stressful as a fuck because we are not in any position at this moment to move, but we have to look. We have to. It's because I'm not going to be able to move on living here after what happened that I can't tell you about. But maybe someday in a story. Cleverly veiled. Names were changed because they were fake to begin with. And now the lighter bit of Shush is, I told you I changed my diet a little bit to pescatarian. I hadn't been eating a lot of red meat lately. I mean, everything, dairy, meat, everything, pretty much, I guess, cows. I get, it just, bothers my stomach more now. And I blame pesticides in the grass and whatever they're feeding them and all that shit. Because, it wasn't this way when I was growing up. But, it's gotten worse. Any food that's not organic. And, I scoffed at the organic shit when it started, but then I tasted some organic food and I was like, oh, fuck, yeah. Our food has gotten worse and worse. What's worse is the healthier you want to eat, the more you got to fucking spend. And isn't that a crying shame, especially for a lot of us? But I am not going to delve into political matters. I'm going to wrap this up because it's my 30 minutes. And thanks for our little double surprise episode here. First time I think I really incorporated the bit of Shush into the fake fiction officially. And we will see you Wednesday for something special to do with Days of General Restlessness. And then Friday for the story Burners. And I will, unless something happened for me to add, I will see you again next Monday for the next edition Oh, God. Sorry, I thought I had it right here. Here we go. And I will see you next Friday, or Monday, excuse me, for that edition of Clumsy Hippo's Fake Fiction.